Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And I just want to say welcome to everyone who's here this morning to the Awaken Fair. And I'm really glad that you could come, and really glad that you're here doing my demo. This is the first time I participated in the Awaken Fair, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm happy to be able to share a little bit of what I do with you guys. So my name is Marilyn Miller. I am the owner of Pilates on Hudson, which is a Pilates studio based in Peekskill, New York. And just as we get started, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background about me, because first of all, everyone has heard of Pilates, even if you haven't done it, you've heard of Pilates, right? So my introduction to Pilates is, I was actually a professional ballet dancer. And I first started doing Pilates when I was in training at the University of Utah some 25 years ago. So there's a lot of people that think Pilates is just kind of some made-up, new age, put together a bunch of feel-goody things, and we'll call it some funky name. But it's actually not. It's actually an exercise technique that was created almost 100 years ago by a gentleman named Joseph Pilates. And he created it when he was interned as a prisoner of war during World War I, and was looking at a way to help rehabilitate some of the injured soldiers that were being brought into the prisoner of war camp. So he used old-fashioned hospital traction beds and springs and ropes and pulleys and everything else to create this very unique system of exercise. And in many ways, it was considered to be the first type of rehabilitation. It was before they'd ever done any true physical rehabilitation. So now when you get injured, a lot of times your doctor might say, let's go and get physical therapy. The Pilates was physical therapy before it advanced to the point where it is now. So that kind of gives you a little bit of the history of Pilates, and that it's not just some, last minute throw together thing. And also for me, so I started, like I said, as a ballet dancer doing this, and was very fortunate to be living and working and dancing in San Francisco, where they had the Center for Dance Medicine. And so my real, even though I was introduced to it in college, my real experience with it was as a professional dancer doing what's called post-rehabilitation when I was a professional ballet dancer in San Francisco. And they had a place called the Center for Dance Medicine, where I would work with the orthopedist and then the physical therapist and then the Pilates instructor to get me all the way to the point of being well enough to get back out on stage. So it's been around for a long time. It's kind of been like under the rug in the professional worlds of dancers and athletes and skaters and everything else. And as I've developed my style and opened my studio up here, I came to realize that there's a lot of stuff that I learned from my dance training and from Pilates as that post-rehab training that my clients in general haven't learned. And a lot of it comes down to anatomy, it comes down to muscles, it comes down to posture, it comes down to understanding how to carry yourself and where your tension is. My favorite thing is I get a new client in and I'll do a postural assessment on them, and the first thing I see is their head. Way out here. So they're standing up and their head's sticking way out in front of them. And I call it the Westchester driving head. So does anybody else have the Westchester driving head? We could do an analysis on you and tell you straight away. Hi, come on in, take a seat. We're just getting started here. I have a brochure and a flyer and a band on each one of the chairs. If you're sitting in a chair that doesn't have that, right, there we go. So anyway, so I was just giving everyone a little bit of history of Pilates and of myself and kind of talking about how I got into it. So anyway, so that's one of the things I noticed, because everyone has like this Westchester driving hat. And then the other thing that I noticed is, what do the vast majority of us do every day these days? Typing away, sitting at our desk, doing like this. And so you've got the Westchester driving head and you're typing away, sitting like this, which means when you stand up, you're like, God, I wonder why I have this back pain. I'm just like, well, let's see what we're doing here. But when I talked to my clients kind of using traditional anatomy language or, doctor language and stuff like that, I find that most people don't even know what I'm talking about. So I've been saying, well, I need you to retract your scapula, and I need you to, focus on where your clavicle is, and, pay attention to what your sternum is doing. And the vast majority of people look at me like most of you are looking at me right now, like, you know, I have no clue what you're talking about. So it's no surprise then why the people don't have a better response to what it is that I'm teaching. Conversely, I also notice that when people go and take a fitness class, how many times has anyone ever talked to you about exactly what muscles you need to use? They say, pull your shoulders back. Well, what muscles are you using to pull your shoulders back? Where do they originate? Where is that coming from? You know, and so how does that align with what your other posture is? Because it can really do you a lot of damage if you don't know what the rest of your posture is and what those muscles are. So the more I kind of looked at what those two things were, the fact that one, most people don't understand what the language of the body and the anatomy is, and most gym classes don't teach it the way that a dance class does, or a gymnastics class, and certainly being physical therapy for 20 years teaches it. I thought that I would go ahead and do that today. So that's how I came up with this whole series on relieving the neck and shoulder tension, which is called finding your bra strap, your height, and your wing muscles. So I have a nice little pamphlet. Where's mine up here? Did mine go away? Mine went away. Great, okay. So what I did is I put together a bunch of pictures. You go through it. I'm going to show you what the bra strap muscles are. Now, is there anybody in here that is not familiar with where your bra strap muscles are? Right, or where your bra strap is, actually. Bra strap muscles are the same. So we all know where a bra strap is. So what I noticed is a lot of times when people said, pull your shoulders together, I would get that. You know, it would go right up into their neck and shoulders. And I'm like, no, I don't want it to go right up here. I want it to go down more. So there's a big difference between pulling your shoulders together using your neck muscles and pulling your shoulders together using your bra strap muscles. Okay? So if you can, take one of your hands and see if you can just reach behind your back and kind of feel underneath and between where your shoulder blades are, okay? And everybody knows your shoulder blades, okay? On either side of your back here, these are your scapula or your shoulder blades. So if we're looking at the bra strap muscles or the rhomboids, it's the muscles that pull the inside part of the shoulder blades together there, okay? So let me just practice that. I'm going to have everyone just sit up nice and tall and straight so you're not leaning against the back of the chair. Right? And don't think so much, I like to think of your scapula is kind of shaped like a pizza slice, like a pie, okay? With the triangle down here, okay? So it's kind of wide on top, and the triangle down at the bottom there. In fact, I wanted to bring a couple of the tight muscles inside, so this is still bra strap. So when you're thinking of bringing those bra strap muscles together, think of the bottom of that piece of pie right here, and I want you to try and pull that down and together. And then just let go of it. And do that again. And just pull that down and together. Okay? Now try when you're doing that, try to make sure that you're not lifting anything with the upper part of the shoulders yet. But simply just pulling the bottom of the piece of the pie down and together. You feel that at all? Is there a different sensation? Is that something you're familiar with at all? Not so much, right? It's kind of like, I'm not sure I really ever used those muscles before. Great, so the first thing we want to do is we want to connect the bra strap there. Now, got that? Do we need to practice that more? Right, so, now that goes from the inside. And when we look at this, we can see, I have a little thing on my flyer here that shows you where it actually originates. So, just to kind of describe parts of this spine, so you have an understanding of that. Your cervical spine is your neck. Okay, and that's pretty obvious. It goes from the base of your neck up to the base of your skull. Your thoracic spine goes from the base of your neck down to about right behind your belly button here. So if you're looking at any of the information and it says it's the second to fifth thoracic vertebrae, we come downward from the top. So we would go with the rhomboids from about right here to about right there, underneath where those shoulder blades are. So you can see, if you think about where that muscle is working from, I can start to understand how to pull those shoulders together a little bit better, right? Make sense?